dwellers, my name is Nacho Bidness. We're back at my test pad at Spectacle Island, and I wanted to demonstrate just how incredibly easy the electronics mod makes setting up your lighting. Now, I did a tutorial a long time ago on how to set up lights on switches anywhere in settlements, and that is still perfectly valid and works if you do not have the electronics mod, or if you're on PS4, or if you're just choosing to do a vanilla playthrough. But that method takes time and patience. It works anywhere, but it does mean that you're going to spend a lot of time setting up some lights. And it is also very fiddly. It is easy to break your lights, and it is hard to get them fixed and back on the switch that you want. Whereas with electronics, well, I'll just show you how incredibly easy it is. Actually, real quick, a word about the mod itself. It is hard to find. If you search the word electronics on the Bethesda page, you will not find that mod. So I will leave a link in the video description so that you can find that mod and get it for yourself. I highly recommend it. Let's get started here. So the first thing I'm going to grab, if you watched my mod review, I mentioned these insulated conduits, and the cool thing about them is that they do not radiate power. And that's really nice when we want to set up lighting systems, because I can have insulated conduits all over the place, and when I go to put a light down, I don't even know what this is, but it's not going to work because there's no radiant power in this area, right? So we use these insulated conduits to set up our switches. So I'm going to set up an insulated conduit there, and I'm going to put another one over here, and just kind of up, there we go, right about there, and I'm going to connect that to power, and we've got power in the circuit, and we are ready to start setting up some lights. So I want you to pay attention to just how fast this goes. I'm going to grab an insulated switch, and I like using these. I always use insulated switches because I never know when I might want to come back and change my mind and fiddle with the circuits later. So I just use that as best practice. Hook that up there. Nice thing about the insulated switches is that they spawn in the off position, so I can now wire all kinds of power radiators and stuff to them without having to get out of the build mode to turn them off. Regular vanilla switches will spawn in the on position. Now, let's go grab a vanilla conduit. I know that electronics has tiny, medium, and large radius conduits, but the vanilla conduit, this one right here, is just kind of in the Goldilocks zone. The medium is a little too small for a 2-square shack, and the large is just much, much too big. So that's why I like using the vanilla conduit. Of course, I had to go to USO for that, but if you're not using the USO mod, it will just appear in your regular menu. So set that there. And I put this switch out here mid-air like this just because it, for whatever reason, it does not like wiring when it's on that wood wall. So I'm going to grab that, and I'm going to grab this, and we've now got our switches and conduits set up. Now I'd like to grab some lights, and I'm just going to put like a bulb here, and I'm going to put a desk lamp down here. But hey, it didn't work, right? Well, that's because I don't have any radiant power in the area. So to set the lights up, all I have to do is exit the build mode and then turn the switch on, and now this conduit is radiating power. Once that conduit is radiating power, I can put lights down in the shack, and they're gonna work, right? So I'm gonna put this ceiling light up here, and okay, so I'm all ready to go, but what about this shack? Like, if I come and put a light down in here right now, it's gonna turn on because it sees this conduit over here, and it's not going to work off of this switch. I mean, I turn the switch on, I turn the switch off, nothing happens. Meanwhile, this switch turns off the lights in the shack, but unfortunately, it also turns off this light. Easy, easy, easy to fix. I just gotta turn that switch on and activate that little conduit there as a power radiator, get back in the build mode. I just have to touch it and release it, and that's it. It's fixed. So that both switches off and both lights off, this switch on and only the one light on, and both switches on, both sets of lights are on, and this one off and this one on, and just this set. So we just ran through and error checked the whole thing, and you know what? That's it. Tutorial's over. I mean, from the time I said, hey, pay attention to how fast this goes, to now, it's got to be less than 5 minutes, and I set up 2 different lights on 2 different circuits, and I didn't have to glitch anything. It went really smooth and easy. I didn't have to think about too much what order I was doing anything. It's great. I cannot recommend this mod enough. Now, you're probably looking at the video and saying, well, if the tutorial's over, how come there's so much time left on this video? And that's because I wanted to show you some error checking and some error correction, and just like what to do if things go south. Because let's say, for example, that I was going to hang a picture in this room, and let's say that it's just I grab this thing, one of the wall decorations and abstract paintings. Come on, what? There, you worked earlier. Why are you not working? There we go. Okay, so I've put this thing down. It looks terrible. It's an awful spot. Like, oh god. And I want to fix it, but I accidentally grabbed this wall. Now, if this had been set up any other way, or if I had had this switch in the off position, because the conduits are mounted to this wall, it would have broken everything. But because we're using electronics and we're using these insulated switches, that doesn't happen. Everything is still working just like it's supposed to. But how do we fix things if they go wrong? Well, let's set up the same situation again, only this time this switch is off. Okay, so we're going to get back in here and get in the build mode. And we're going to accidentally, quote unquote, grab this wall and come over here and look and say, oh no, that light is now on even though the switch is off. We've gone and broken the thing. And it gets even more interesting because I can turn that switch off, turn this one on, and now that light is on. That light is now actually recognizing 2 different power radiators. And there may be situations where you could use that to your advantage if you want to have like low intensity and high intensity lighting mode or something like that. But for today at least, we're just going to say we want to fix this. We want to have this light go back to just recognizing the conduit that's on that switch. And here things get a little bit different from before. Because this light is now recognizing two different conduits as potential power sources, we can't just grab it and release it. We have to actually store it. That erases all of its memory, and when we go and put it back down again, now it's fixed. It will only recognize this one switch as a power source. So now I can turn that on and we're fixed, right? So there you go. That is how easy it is. I think my previous tutorial ran something like 30 minutes. Of course, 15 of it was, as usual, me battling at the beginning. But I have been recording now for I have been recording for less than 15 minutes, and by the time I edit the getting in and out of build mode out of this video, it'll be even a little bit less than what the timer says right now. It not only shows you how to light two different shacks that were adjacent to each other, but I showed you how to prevent errors by leaving the switches on all the time, unless you want to add a light, and I showed you how to fix errors. What it really boils down to is, if you want to add a light, all you have to do is make sure that the only switch that's on is the one that you want the light to be hooked up to. And if you want to add a conduit, all you got to do is you got to make sure that all the switches are on. And if you keep that in mind, you will not break your lights, but if you do, it's easy to fix it. I really can't recommend this electronics mod enough. And I hope that you have maybe looked at this and said, you know what? I think I am going to try lighting my shacks on individual switches. It doesn't look that hard, because it's really not, folks. It's really not. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to leave a like down below. And if you want to see more, be sure to subscribe. And if you didn't like, please tell me why down in the comments, and I will try so hard to do better for you next time. Until next time, my name is Nacho Bidness, and I'm saying it's a great big wasteland out there. Let's go have fun in it.